late due to some technical difficulties, but we have a quorum of 4 members.
Hi,
let's
it's
see.
Chris.
Is Chris in?
Yes.
I just calling in now.
Yay.
Chris is here by phone.
Great. Yours?
Yeah, I'm not getting any internet connection here, and I've had TV problems all day, so I think that's where it's coming from.
Mm-hmm.
At least you could be on the phone. That's great, Chris.
All right.
Well, thanks, Jane.
Let's start with we establish a quorum. I'll call roll. Commissioner Basigi. Not present yet. Commissioner Wu. Commissioner Wu here. Would you please acknowledge Commissioner Wu?
Kevin, if I may, that was council liaison Michelle Wu. She's not the liaison for the Hills anymore.
All right, Commissioner Torbeck.
I'm here.
Commissioner Bullculch. We have been told he's not available. Commissioner Nagao.
Here.
Commissioner Cohen.
Here.
Commissioner O'Reilly here. So we have a quorum. Commissioner Cohen, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag?
Oh my God, I don't have my cheat sheet here. Someone help me out.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag
Of
Of the United
States of America.
and to
and to the republic,
For which
for which it stands,
one
one
nation.
one
nation,
nation,
under God,
Under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty and
liberty,
justice
justice
for all.
justice
for all.
for all.
Okay.
I'd like to welcome Mayor Fliger to our meeting. Mayor Fliger is going to be the council liaison for the Senior Commission for the coming year. And we're delighted to have you with us, Mayor Fliger. And also,
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Chairman O'Reilly. I'm happy to be here. And as you know, as mayor, I get to select who is the council liaison for the different commissions. So I assigned myself to this commission because I wanted to be on this commission. So happy to be here.
we are delighted. Thank you. And I'd also like to thank Councilmember Anita Enander for the great work and support she's provided this commission for the last, 2-3 years, I guess it's been. And that's been really helpful to us. So
Great. Thank you.
I've been asked to remind myself and the commissioners about policy and procedures for commission meetings. We've historically been a bit informal, but it's important to stay with the actual procedures and follow them much more closely. To the extent we don't or go around the edges, it technically violates the Brown Act. So there are a number of things we probably ought to do just as a good reminder. For instance, I did the roll call. We haven't usually done that formally, but I think that's one of the requirements. Another item is that when we have members of the public speak to us on items not on the agenda, on several occasions, we have people on the commission would be interested in and would start to ask questions or engage in some kind of discussion. And the problem with that, it's not on the agenda. And it ends up being an end run around the requirement by law that anything discussed by this commission be on the agenda and be publicized a week or so earlier to the public. And I think that's an important one for us to follow. Another, just a technical way, is when we want to speak, raise our hand, and the chair, whoever the chair is, recognizes that member. And if for instance, comments from the public on an item on the agenda. Good morning, or good afternoon, Commissioner Bashiji.
Hi there.
On an item that's not on the agenda, the items that are on the agenda and they're bring to the commission, oftentimes members would be interested in that and start to ask questions. Any questions to someone from the public needs to be directed through the chair, and the chair kind of referees that and keeps an order to it. It's in the small meetings, which we usually have, it often doesn't have any real difference, but in some of the more contentious meetings we've had, it's really made a difference and created confusion and whatever. So that's an important one to follow. Anyway, I think we all need to work on this, and I'll start with myself. Yes.
I just want to, apologies for interrupting. Suzanne, will you do me a favor and just make sure to press record?
I did.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, I did.
Apologies for the interruption.
And it's important. So I think we all need to continue to remind ourselves of that and keep on staying more with the procedures, and it'll be a work in progress. Let's see, we'll start with let's see a minute. Okay, we'll start with any public comments that are not on the agenda. Is anyone, Bridget, is anybody?
We have somebody from the public, but they said they're just listening and they did not have a comment.
All right, thank you. All right, we move for items for consideration and action. We'll start with the minutes. We need to approve the minutes of the Senior Commission of November 2nd, 2020. I hope everyone's had a chance to review those.
I move to approve.
Move to approve. Do we have a second?
I seconded.
All right. So motion is to approve the meetings of November 2nd. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All opposed? And the motion is carried. The minutes are approved. The second item on the agenda.
Chairman O'Reilly, can I make a comment?
Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure we recognize Pat Marriott, who sent an email describing how she felt the horizon for the work plan should be designed. And I just want to make sure somehow we recognize that and figure out a way to agendize it. Maybe not this time around, but perhaps for next.
Yes, that's a good point. I read Pat Marriott's letter about the dates for conclusion or the dates for completion of the various agenda items, and it's a good suggestion. However, the difficulty right now is in this strange time of the COVID. Everything it's really hard to pin down when we'll be able to commit or complete these various items. I saw Bridget Matheson, you had your hand up.
Oh, I was just going to comment that I spoke with Donna, and one of the things was exactly what you're saying is the fact that we're in COVID, it is difficult to put a pinpoint on some of those deadlines. And she was looking in other documents about work plans and dates and wasn't able to find anything that clearly talks about that. So just wanted to share that information.
Well, I think overall the suggestion that we target things as most accurately as we can makes for a better target date and sort of tightens up the timelines for work. And I think it's a good idea. It's just a little difficult at this point to put a specific date.
May I make a comment?
Yes.
Yeah, I was referring to her email regarding the time window for the work plan, not so much for the basically completion deadlines. And I think she has a right point. She says your work plans are generally, even though they're aimed for 1 year, and they're reviewed every quarter, they don't really seem to be addressing issues that essentially endure a whole year. I'm not sure that really is true or not. I was just wondering if we could at least put that on the agenda for next meeting so we can honor her request and look at it, see if in fact are we doing that or are we not doing that.
Do you think maybe you guys can pick up this conversation when you get to the item on your work plan
I think
on
it's
the agenda at
Okay.
number 4?
That works for me. Thank you.
I'm happy to, the next item is vote on workshops.
Right.
Kevin, would you like me to start that?
Yes, would you give us a little more background there?
Of course, definitely. Good afternoon, commissioners. So this item before you this afternoon was briefly discussed at your November meeting. However, it was not agendized correctly. So some of the protocols that Kevin that just discussed a little bit earlier about it being noticed, it wasn't properly noticed. So it's before you again today. Commissioner, you put me in contact with a potential workshop provider, and this provider town staff met with. They're able to provide these free workshops. There was one part of the discussion that was brought up in November, which the free workshops that we do host, there's no soliciting of the business, so it really is more of a community-based by a professional, and there's no hard sell or anything like that. It's really just an informational. There's a total of 6 of them listed on this item, but we are recommending, or staff's recommending, that you guys select maybe 2 that would be the most pertinent and timely. I will go through each of the titles, but this doesn't mean that the ones you don't select, we're not going to do. We can just do them at a later time if they are successful. And so I will go through them, and then you can feel free to ask any questions. So one of the first title is Essential Documents for Aging Seniors. The next one, does your decade-old estate plan need a tune-up? The next, planning senior care options. The next is finding the money, paying for elder care. The next title is planning for diminishing capability. And we can change this title to 2021 Senior Scams. I will note that the 2 programs that the group seemed to like in November was the Essential Documents for Aging Seniors and Planning Senior Care Options. But now I'm happy to turn it over to you and answer any questions that you may have.
Any thoughts? We had discussed this, and we shouldn't have. So as over the new year, has anybody had any new insights, or essentially is that as everybody recalls, the 2 that were seen as most important? Or Commissioner Cohen?
Well, I want to just say one thing to begin with. Sarah, you made a comment and a phrase you just used about not doing a hard sell. And so my antenna went up. And I remember discussing at the November meeting that I had a concern about conflict of interest. So it wasn't a matter of a hard sell. It was a matter of not wanting any type of solicitation of business from the speaker.
Correct,
I think we were assured that there wouldn't be.
correct.
Okay, so I just want to clarify that.
Yeah, thank you.
And also, just before we get started on discussing which one should be first, second, or whatever, would this be on Zoom, and concurrently could it be on channel 15 on the TV station so that all our seniors could have access to it?
I know that we were planning to have it via Zoom.
Okay.
So that was the method of distributing it. I am not aware of any, we weren't, I don't believe, planning to reach out to the local channel at this point.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Cohen. And the free workshop contains a clause about not soliciting business. It's in the contract, I guess. Is that correct, Sarah?
Correct. And I've included that in the staff report.
All right, that's good. Are we still as a group, do we still favor the two that were identified last time we looked at this, the essential documents for aging seniors and the planning for senior care options? As any other commentary from?
I'd like to make a observation.
Yes, Commissioner Basigi.
Yeah, an event just that occurred in my family just recently underscored the significance of the planning for the day of need, severe day of need. My mother-in-law in England became simultaneously a COVID patient, as well as she fell and broke her hip simultaneously. And so she went from being essentially a mobile person to being essentially completely immobile, and being essentially a resident of her own bungalow or her home, whatever you want to call that, to being in need to be hospitalized, first in ICU, then regular bed, and then finally into a care home. So I think this is supremely important that we let people know what they need to do, and all the legal ramification, all the rest of it. So I think those two topics are very, very timely from my point of view. I thought so last time, but this time around I'm just doubling down on my conviction.
So I
Very good, thank you.
sorry. So this is Z talking. I just completely echo with Jim's sentiments, because that's exactly what happened to me back in May last year when my dad suffered from a massive stroke in New York, and he didn't have any legal documents available. And because he was physically and mentally both incapacitated, like it just left me in a terrible situation, and I'm the only child. So I had to deal with all this mess for him. And so that prompted me, like look for ways to address this issue. And so that was why I came up with the recommendations for, these workshops. So I totally agree with Jim. And it was just because I also personally had a run-in with this type of instance that I recognized the importance of having these planning done ahead of time, especially for the adult kids,
Well, those are two very good examples. I'll come back to that, Commissioner Cohen.
Well, I think all six are really critically important, actually. And I'm wondering, when you talk to the business rep that is going to do this for us, did they say that they would be willing to do all of these topics over a period of time? I was thinking if they were willing that we could do 2 each term, like 2 in the fall, 2 in the spring, and 2 next fall, maybe.
Yes.
Something like that. Would they be willing to do that?
Yes, as long as there's enough interest.
Yeah.
But yes, that's exactly what I was thinking, is stagger it out make sure that there's still interest. This, the senior commission can help promote the importance of it, because it's also not only raising awareness that people need this, but then helping us get the information out that, hey, this is available and it's valuable.
So I went through and read them really carefully, and I personally prioritized them 1 through 6. And I'm wondering how we're going to proceed now. I mean, I actually agree with Jim and Z about number 1 being the essential documents and number 2 being planning senior care options. And then I've also done the rest of, I completed all 6 of what the order I felt would be. I don't know, it's just my opinion. But anyway.
I did likewise. I rank ordered them, and I had trouble rank ordering them.
It's not, there's some fine points, and it's not that easy, but so I wondered would you be able to contact the, I don't know, should I be calling the business? Tell me what should I be calling the speaker or the organization?
The provider, you can.
Provider. Yeah. So if they would be willing to, I don't know if 3 is too many in a term, or we should keep it to 2. Should we do them all 6 over a 1-year period, or should we do them over a 1.5-year period? How critical do we think these topics are to be able to offer them to our seniors? Because
may I make a comment?
Yes, Commissioner Basigi.
Z and Sarah and I got together on this issue separately and basically had a conversation. My sense is that 2 per quarter will make a lot of sense. And I want to make sure that Z and Sarah make a comment regarding that issue. Of course, it is predicated on the degree to which our seniors are able to embrace this. If they come into the first 2 topics, then we can immediately at that particular time go on to doing the next 2 the following quarter, and so on.
That's a good suggestion. Sarah, I had a question. What would constitute the completion of one of these topics? 4 or 5 meetings? What do we have any information about that? How many sessions, so to speak?
Oh, each of the workshops is about an hour or an hour and a half. So it is, again, informational, and it's a one-time thing. I am recommending just a 2, basically 1 per quarter. So 4 annually.
Oh, okay.
And so it would be more a 1.5 years.
Okay.
And we can, depending on also how many people show up, I think this staggers it enough where we can promote it. Both the city of Los Altos, maybe Bridget can speak to that, or Cherry, and then myself, and the Los Altos Hills team, and then you guys, we can all, pull together and make sure that we do the marketing. And that way, if they're well done, I think more people will attend because they'll be leaving with a better experience.
Sarah, thank you. I stand corrected. You got it right.
Yeah, me too. I see. So I think initially when I talked to Sarah and Jim, I think we thought that maybe we start with like 2 seminars, just to try them out, see how the community would respond. That was it.
or and if we go with the documents. And what would be the logical next two to follow that? Set it up, we could always change it, but
Right.
rather than keep revisiting and plowing the old field again.
After the first because the workshops.
Well, then would it be appropriate for you to do the follow? Terrific.
We'll do some of the heavy lifting as
All right.
If you could workshops.
Item with Commissioner Cohen's question. The answer, but I just want to also confirm that these different workshops, which I think are a great idea, will be recorded, because if friends who weren't another way to via email.
Mrs. Mayor. Sarah, you said these first two.
Z, you want to make the motion and I'll second it?
Yes, I love the motion,
Which is
to, I guess, move these two workshops forward.
in a particular order.
Oh,
Identify-
yes. The first one being the essential documents, and then the second one being the senior care options.
Very good. Do we have a
I
second?
second the motion. Sorry.
Second. Any discussion? All right, move to action. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion is carried. These two will be the first of the discussions to go forward. Thank you.
Before we move ahead, I have a comment.
Commissioner Cohen.
I'd like to suggest that we ask the provider to prepare a one-page handout that we could offer the attendees, that they could read, print out, however we could get it to them. I think that's a way to, put a cap on it or something, just summarize it so that they don't have to. I think it's nice to kind of say, oh, don't take copious notes. We're going to give you something to have in your hands. Do you think that would-
Yeah. Would distribution of handout at the time of the workshop be sufficient for you, Commissioner Cohen?
I think so.
Okay.
Do you think it?
I know the presentations that they plan, they typically have a PowerPoint prepared. And so I would assume that PowerPoint could then be made available as
Perfect.
notes.
That would be great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Very good points, because if somebody tunes into this and takes it seriously, they're going to want something to refer to. And you walk away from something that's a wonderful little set of ideas, if I could only remember them. So that's always a good idea. I think that's very important. We're at item question. Agenda item 3.
Yes, I'm going to speak to this and then Bridget can kind of fill in as well. But the needs assessment for a cell phone program, this was again brought up during public comments. Mayor Wu, former Mayor Wu, brought this up during that time. She wanted feedback from the senior commission about a potential needs assessment for a cell phone program. Since I have done a little bit of investigating, and currently there's a state program that is fulfilling a need, and I have all of kind of the information included in the staff report. Again, it is a needs-based. My concern, you know, when I initially spoke to Mayor Wu offline was I can to administer a program like this. So we were talking about also if really our agencies are the right place. Is this something that you know, maybe Los Altos Community Foundation could do if needed? But overall, I think with the information that the state program is having, this is something that we could potentially list in our next activity guide. And maybe Bridget or a spotlight or something else, but that really concludes my report.
I don't have much to say. And Cherry, if I'm speaking out of turn, I know that our senior program, they do keep track of different referrals that have come in, and I know what Sarah had put in the report is all of these different qualifications, and much like Sarah, we don't necessarily have the bandwidth to establish this type of program. We haven't really received asks for it either. I did check with Cherry about that, but you know, we do have an action line that has been going since the beginning of COVID. So I think we have a good pulse on what people are asking for. But and I just don't necessarily think we have the bandwidth to take this on at this time either.
Do we have any, well, you referred to it, we have some information about members of our community who might be eligible for such for cell phones or connectivity, if I could use that phrase. Do we have that? Do we have, or how much information do we have about our population?
I mean, we've got our pay in our program. We've got, you know, general information. I know that Cherry and the senior staff have been keeping track of phone calls and requests. But in terms of this particular ask, we haven't really heard a whole lot about it or an interest in it at this time.
Can I ask Sarah a question? Mr. Chair?
Jim, as Commissioner Basigi, I can't see your face here. Your phone is aimed down the hall here, so I can't see your hand.
Sorry about that. Yeah, is that
There you go. Thank you.
Sorry. I just wanted to ask Sarah a question. A lot of the list of requirement, actually qualification that to enable somebody to be able to get assistance from the state of California seems to be means testing. In other words, if you have to be below a certain level to qualify for such a gift. I guess the main question becomes: do we know of people in our mutual communities that fit that category? If not, that program will not be available to us. So that's my point number one. Point number two is, I think Mayor Wu came at this from, the more I thought about this, the more difficult to really justify something like this in view of the fact that the staff bandwidth is one thing, the where the monies are going to come from is another thing, where the funds are going to come from, and a third would be how much it would be basically embraced by the community. Those are major questions. So I think before we dive into this in any way, shape, or form, those questions need to be answered from my vantage point.
Well, there's a whole set of questions I have as I read this. Good possibilities too, because connectivity with ways for us to find all those other people in our community that we're not contacting now is really critical. The issue is, and we talked a little bit about this in other contexts, is with this our particular demographic, some people just are not going to engage in digital communication technology. It just is one of those things. I know a number of my friends don't do that. No matter if I gave them a free cell phone, it still wouldn't happen. So there's that set of questions. But I'm sure there are people in our community, if somehow we could reduce the price for connectivity through Wi-Fi and what have you, or the actual device, they might take us up on it and then engage. So, and again, with Jim's observation that these public monies are based on need, and that's a smaller slice of our community, not all of it, but a much smaller slice of our community. Perhaps we ought to, I dare suggest, create a subcommittee to just sort of talk through these kinds of issues, and then come back to the commission with recommendations or ideas that they've come across or findings, so that we could either say this is really something that's practical for us to push forward, or to say we leave it for another day. What do you think about that?
I think you hit the nail on the head. From my point of view, it's not something that we sit at in a meeting like this and basically come to some kind of a conclusion. I think it needs to be worked offline, and then the result of that diligence is brought to the committee, to the commission for discussion and approval.
So what I would love to have a subcommittee of at least 2 people who would be interested in looking at this further.
I have another suggestion.
Yes.
An alternate suggestion. The title of this item is needs assessment. And a needs assessment, is a scientific survey to see whether something is needed, a program or whatever. And when Mayor Wu came to speak to us, she didn't present any data that I can recall, any concrete data. So in order to move ahead, I think that we need, if we think that we want to do it at all, we need some concrete data. We need to put the word in the spot. I don't think we should have another subcommittee. That's my personal opinion. I think we should put an ad in the spotlight and say, something about if you feel that you need a cell phone, I don't know what the wording would be. And then maybe, maybe something on next door. I don't know what. I'm just thinking another subcommittee. I just don't feel that anyone has the bandwidth to do this because, you know, Chris, Bill, and I were on a subcommittee. We met about 8 hours of our time, you know, doing the loneliness and the senior thing. It took quite a bit of time, and I think we came up with some really good things.
Yeah.
But this, to have two people working on it, for me, I wouldn't be interested in it. I don't know if any other commissioner would be interested in it. But I'm just thinking, is there another way that we could collect the data in a more efficient way without a subcommittee that we could find out, is there a need in the community? And let's say there's 12 people that come forward and say they really could use a cell phone and they need help. Maybe there would be some other way we could get that help for them or funding for them, because it's not only the phone, it's the service that goes along with the phone.
Exactly.
Anyway, that's my opinion.
I think everybody's got a valid point here, if I may make an observation, and I totally agree with Commissioner Cohen. What I was going to do if I were to be on this committee, first and foremost, I would want to look at, is it even possible that we could offer this to the community? And number two, where would the funding come from? Those are the two.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
There isn't any-
and if you can't answer those two questions, then I think the whole thing is, in my viewpoint, is kind of I don't know what to say.
Yeah,
I
well,
think
yeah,
it's
race,
basically it has no place to go. No.
Yeah, often, well, there are a number of hurdles here. The first one is accurate, reliable information, an assessment. How big is the need? What are funding sources? And looking at the current shape of finances of almost all public institutions, and therefore foundations that augment that. I got more questions than answers about it.
Bridget has her hand up.
Bridget?
I was just gonna say too, I know that, you know, it did get mentioned, but I think that the senior staff have been, you know, definitely keeping track of calls and things that are coming in. We do have like a COVID, so we have the senior program where they have different referrals, people call in, and part of that, and then there's the COVID page, and I don't know if Cherry, have you had anybody call and ask for this type of program, just out of curiosity?
Forget been going out for some reason, but anyway, no, we have not. We do have Ellie Turan of Clear Captions. I've been working with her for the last 3 years. She's come to the senior center to see the program to present free phones for the hard of hearing. And that has not been a program that blossomed in our community. It's just something that our members have not been quite interested in. You have maybe 1 or 2 people who have come into her workshops and they've left with the idea that they are not interested. So I don't know that there's a need at this point. She's asked me to do another workshop during this COVID, and I'm kind of hesitant at this point because I did go around asking our seniors at the center when it was open if they would be interested in having this workshop again, and they all said no.
And I think my point to that is just with the work plan topic and the different items that you want to achieve, it's, you know, there's also prioritization of what you want to achieve and just bandwidth. And if, you know, I think Cherry and her team have a good pulse, and if things change, you know, we could look at it again. But I think it's just, you're going to get from the public, okay, let's try this, but then sometimes it's just taking a look and prioritizing and seeing what we can do now or later.
Well, just, you know, taking in what various points of view and observations, I think I would suggest that we table this idea for future consideration, but not within the, say, the next 6 months. We're not, I don't think we're in a position to assess the need and to sort out funding sources at this point. And I think I'd like to table it for future consideration.
Mr. Chair, are you making a motion or would you like one of us to make a motion to that effect?
All right, that would be my suggestion. Is anybody willing to make a motion? I'd make it myself.
Go ahead and make it.
All right, I move to table this discussion about what do we call this? The cell phone program for seniors. Table it for future consideration.
I second that motion.
All right, move the motion. All in favor? Any discussion further? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? So the motion carries. All right. Next item is agenda item 4, and just a review of our work plan. I suggested this at our last meeting. I think it's a good idea to periodically just bring this forward. I don't have a specific issue with any one of these yet right now, but I think it's really a useful thing for this commission periodically to review its work plan, take a look at it, kind of jog our memories and look at these. So briefly, we could go through these.
Right.
Kevin, Chris, and Jane are the assigned ones to Goal 1, Vision to expand use of community centers by seniors. And the project was to review senior programs in neighboring communities and work with city to prioritize programs and facility use. Some of this has been done. I know Jane and Chris had visited several of our neighboring community senior programs. Evaluation is still in progress. Any commentary from Jane or Chris?
So it's just Chris, and I think based on what this time is, everybody is shut down. I do go and help at the senior center in Mountain View 3 times a week, but the doors are completely closed and everything is as a drive-up situation. So I think there's nowhere to go with this at this time.
Right.
And I think a lot of, we could probably say that as we go down the list here, we are kind of in a holding pattern through this
Right.
COVID emergency. Goal number 2, establish participation and awareness in senior programs is the same problem. It's hard to engage the community when we're all locked at home. Although most of the project or most of the activity is done by our great staff in Los Altos, making all the phone calls, developing online programs and offerings. That's our lifeline essentially, and it's our great staff that's been doing that. Also, as I was reading one of the programs here, Doris Z and Chris, on the second page is strategies to open senior center at Grant Park and the opening of the Los Altos Community Center, which is going to happen in late spring or early summer. And maybe we need to start thinking about that. Here we are in January. But that's one thing. Eventually, we're going to come out of this, and there'll be a nice, great opening and a new facility, and we'll re-engage at Grant Park. That's the one thing I think we could probably continue to look at is our planning for that, coming up with ideas of how to engage and bring people out. It's a great opportunity to re-engage people. They're all going to come to that new senior center, because that's our taxpayer work, and it's great, beautiful building and wonderful indoor interior and exterior spaces. And that's probably, of all the things that I've seen or can think of, that's probably the greatest marketing effort or opportunity we're going to see as a senior commission. Any other ideas or comments? Goal-free transportation essentially is on hold. I talked with
Right.
Sherry Anderson about participation, and the senior ride reimbursement program has no takers right now. Nobody's using that system. Very few people are using public transportation. So these things are just nothing's going on right now. And I
Right.
think to evaluate it, I don't think you can evaluate it at this point. You'll have to come out the other end of this lockdown before we can begin to evaluate the effectiveness and how to improve it.
Evan,
Yes.
one thing on the transportation that might change things is once the immunization, hold on a second here. Once the immunization programs are happening, seniors might need help with transportation once that gets going. And that might rev it up a bit. That's the only thing that I can think of in that area.
Yeah, I think it'll start gradually. I think it's all about public confidence. Am I safe? Are you safe?
Right.
You know,
My feeling is that people are hesitant to get into a car with another human being at the
exactly.
moment because the COVID in closed space with the windows closed and the cold weather and all that. I have a feeling this is going to be a while before we can ask people to get into cars with people. But I may be wrong, but that's what I think.
I think you're right. I think it will take some time.
It will. It will.
The health, fitness, and safety education. Doris. Jane and Bill, and who else was on that subcommittee? You spent a lot of time on that. Any observations at this point?
Well, there's nothing new that we need to report right now.
Well, I already done
Most of this needs to be tabled or, a few things could be buffed up. We could organize the dates. We can take Pat's recommendation, Pat Marriott's recommendation under advisement. We can, make the dates specific, but they're going to be changing. The dates will be changing. So if we want to make dates, as long as we know we're going to move, that would be fine.
Well said. Yeah.
So, yeah, I think most of this is not that relevant right now. That's my take on it.
The last one was the online resource guide. I let this one off my radar, but the links that we sent in to Sherry don't particularly work. So I need to talk with Z about looking at that again and seeing if we can make those things operate.
Out of all the initiatives, Kevin, that one is the one that we probably can do something in.
Say that again, Commissioner Pizzuti.
I said, out of all the initiatives, that's the one that we probably can do something about because of the vaccination coming up and a whole bit. We ought to make sure people really are aware of the resource. The resource documentation is
Online. It's very few people is my. We are to item. Any other discussion, observations? So we'll move to item 5, unless there are other observations. Bridget and Sarah Robustelli.
All right. So we have some information and announcements. Hopefully you guys all have heard that we partnered with both cities and the Festival of Lights Association for Homage for the Holidays. If you have not seen it, it's the links provided in your report. Definitely a festive way to celebrate the holidays while we're staying safe. That completed airing on the local channels as of yesterday. So the only way to view it now is through the YouTube link. The town did a winter scavenger hunt, which is still available. The links provided. We've had, as part of the winter scavenger hunt, there's also a pop-up photo frame. We partnered with Hidden Villa for a floral frame in, I believe, November. And since it was so successful, we opted to do it again, but make our own. And it currently is installed at Town Hall Road, and there's a bedazzled apricot orchard behind it. And it's great because you can put your cell phone on the pedestal and put it on self-timer mode and take a picture. And there's also 6 feet. It's large enough to have people who you are social distancing with in the frame as well. So that's been a lot of fun, and the hope is to actually move it to different locations moving forward so we can spread some of that joy. And going along with virtual things, we did not collect, every year we partner with Second Harvest Food Bank, Silicon Valley, and due to COVID, we moved it to virtual. So we're hosting a virtual food drive. And I actually haven't, since the holiday, see if we were able to raise more money, but we are hoping to reach our goal of $500. So that would buy a lot of food. So we thank everyone for their generosity. Upcoming activities, we had success with the Parks and Rec Committee. They helped launch a 2020 inspirational banner project, and we're hoping to do that same thing in 2021. These are submissions from residents that are inspirational, and we print them on banners and then install them around town, and they get rotated. The submissions are due in March. And today we hosted COVID-19 testing, appointment-based. Our next testing date will be, I believe, another one of your committee meetings. So it's Monday, February 1st. You can mark that down. We are having some paid upcoming programs, Mixology, which is happening this week, Pam's Yoga Fitness, and Decluttering Your Home and Life workshop. All of those you can register through the link provided. Free item that we're having, continuing, and this also connects well with the cell phone program, but tech tutoring, either by phone or by Zoom. And this is done by a youth commissioner and their team that they've arranged. It is free, and they get somebody who is tailored to your needs. So that's been successful. Something that hasn't totally blossomed yet, but we're really hoping to, is the Dear Senior Pen Pal program. The mission is to strengthen the bonds between generations, and address loneliness and shelter in place during the COVID pandemic. So to learn more, there's also a link provided, and that also goes along with the advice column with the youth and senior exchange. So giving advice. Those programs have launched, but I think are just looking for more people to participate. So they haven't been as successful as the tech tutoring. And that concludes my report for the town of Los Altos Hills.
Thank you, Sarah.
And for the city of Los Altos, we have our winter registration information. Registration for classes will be January 26th. The winter session will take place Monday, February 22nd through March 29th. And just below that, I've just included a link, and that's where to go to register for the different classes that will be taking place. We also have our virtual rec center that will just mention different activities that you can do independently, and just what's going on. Then, of course, our link to the spotlight, that's the happenings for the adult 50 plus program. So I just like to keep that in there. And of course, the COVID link that just gives a bunch of very important information for resources during this time. We have our 19th annual, this is the first time we've done this annual virtual fun run for 2021. The City of Los Altos Recreation Community Services Department hosting this event. And it's actually, because it's virtual, it's taking place January 1st to January 8th. And below, this is the link to sign up for it. There is a fee, but with that fee, you get this really cool medal and race bib. So just wanted to share that's something different. Then we had our virtual gingerbread house exhibit, and it took place December 3rd through December 31st. Participants created their gingerbread creations and sent in a photo. These pictures were displayed on the Recreation and Community Services webpage. And then on Wednesday, December 9th, there was a virtual social for those that created gingerbread houses. And there were actually 14 submissions. The gathering was small but very fun. The participants talked about how they created their gingerbread house. The Recreation and Community Services Department would also like to thank Mayor Flagger for attending the social and just showing support. So we've been pivoting some of the activities we were doing in person to make them virtual. And then just continually promoting the Senior Connection Hotline, which is where people can call for if they're looking for certain resources, or if they just want to call and chat, or they want to know about all of the different and exciting activities that the Adult 50 Plus program has. They have quite a few that they're gearing up for. And then also our technology resource tutor. I keep this here because Ellen, it's via Zoom or phone, and she can help you with your technical needs. And so I just keep wanting to share this because I think it's a perfect time. And we do have our on-demand ride reimbursement program. I know the attendance is definitely dropped, but it is still available. So this is just listing the different qualifications for that program. And these are other services, the Roadrunners transportation services available, high cap health insurance counseling advocacy program, Helping Hands, which volunteer to run errands in your community during COVID. Also wanted to share more information about the Block Action Team, and this is important for neighbors in the community if they're feeling isolated, or they want you know, to help their neighbor. This is a wonderful group. And so there's information and contact details for that program. Nadja Jackson is in charge of that. And then she's worked with us quite a bit. Cable TV programming. Definitely, it's taking place Monday through Friday, 10 to 12 for fun and exciting programming. The adult 50 plus program has been doing quite a bit. And then just a lot of their social meetups from last December were great. I just wanted to acknowledge Cherry and her team for doing that. And they're gearing up for the next several months. But I believe that concludes my report for this meeting.
Bridget, I had a question.
Yes.
Helping Hands, any information about how many people are taking advantage of that, or the numbers?
I actually would refer to Cherry on this one, just in terms of how many people have been utilizing that.
So I can speak to that.
You.
We've had a few, I'd say maybe in all these months, we've utilized it more at the beginning of the COVID. As of these past few months, we've had maybe 2 or 3 calls a month in regards to Helping Hands. And we've utilized them a lot more in some of our programming that we offer, where we deliver goods to the members who are participating, but only about 2 or 3 calls per month for that.
But more in the front. And it looks like people have made other arrangements. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, Cherry.
You're welcome.
Any other questions or additions? I think we've come to the end of the reports. Any other ideas or commentary of staff or commissioners? Sherry Anderson.
Just to let you know, we with the spotlight, we do have a couple of events that I hadn't let Bridget know about, but we've developed that we're going to have a Valentine Day event, and that's going to be a Valentine Scramble, where we're going to play kind of an interesting new game for the participants. And we are also going to have laughter yoga in February. So what we're doing is really gearing up for February, because we did so much in December with our different social events and all of that. So for January, we're just really trying to gear up in a sense and get ready for February. But that's going to be an action-packed month. And we just wanted to share that. Come on out and get involved with our Valentine's Day event, as well as laughter yoga. We feel that that's a good time now for it, being that the COVID is extending itself out. So we want people to get together, come in and workshop and just laugh it up. So I just wanted to add that.
Thank you,
Nice
Sherry.
invitation.
All right. Well, I think we've done it, unless there are other suggestions. We have a motion to adjourn.
A motion to adjourn.
I have a suggestion for another
A
agenda.
suggestion prior to the
Did we
adjournment.
miss that section? Sorry.
Pardon me, say that again.
I have a suggestion for a future agenda item. Sorry, I think I missed it. You went.
Future agenda items.
So is it okay if I say what I?
Yes, yes.
I think something about this, I didn't wordsmith it. Facilitation of immunization program for our seniors. I'm not sure what we're gonna do with it, but.
And if I may, Chair, I'm glad.
I want to.
I'm glad Commissioner Cohen raised that, because we had a meeting with the county on Saturday, and many public officials, this was the #1 question, the when, the how, where, because a lot of people are under the impression that the county is the only agency that will be administering the vaccine. And that's not the case for every single category. And so there's not enough information out there. So we're hoping to get that information out before your next senior commission meeting, but I think it's a good thing to have on the agenda in case we need to do any follow-up. So I second anything related to COVID vaccinations and communications with seniors. Would love to see it on this commission's agenda.
I totally agree with that. I've been trying, on my part, trying to get some information from Kaiser, which is my health one, as to when my age category might be up for nothing. I'm running into walls. So you're absolutely right. So
We're hearing from a lot of people.
Oh,
So it would be good. So, you know, Chair, it's up to you if this is added to a future agenda, but I endorse the idea.
Well, let's phrase that, facilitation of immunization.
I wrote facilitation of immunization programs for our seniors. It's just kind of general. I don't know, can someone wordsmith that a little better?
Well, we don't have a specific recommendation for it, but we're open to the information. I'm not sure how to phrase that either.
I would add the word communication as well, facilitation and communication, because that's where the problem oftentimes lies.
Let's start with communication and facilitation.
All right,
We need the information first. And then if we can assist people in, you know, figuring it all out.
Right.
All right, well, just leave it at that.
Maybe.
Communication and immunization program, communication and immunization program, and I'll leave it open-ended. It'll be a different setting when we meet next, and now we'll have more information, hopefully. So Mayor Flager, thank you for your endorsement of that idea.
Yeah. Mayor.
Well, we're back to considering adjournment. We have a motion to adjourn. Do we have a second? I will second it.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 You.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Happy New Year.
Thank
Thank you.
New Year, everyone.
Thank you.
Hope for a better one.
Everyone.
Bye.